Hey, where's Ace? Father Chris here. Welcome to our Crucifixional Life. I'm glad to have you beautiful people with us again. I told you yesterday, and I'm going to do it the rest of the week. I'm going to tell you all my deep and dark and dirty secrets. Not for any other reason than I think it helps me, but hopefully it will help you as well, which we love to teach the Crucifixional Life. And even if it means that we have to share some of our dark secrets to help, we're in, because it's life changing. And I said yesterday, in my college and beyond years, I was probably not the most upstanding citizen. One of my problems was I like the girlies, right? But I dated a lot of women, and you can draw the conclusions and all that kind of stuff. And none of them ever seemed to work out. I didn't want to be a jerk. I didn't want to be that kind of dog that was out there. I really was looking to find, a nice young lady to live my life with. But I had this weird kind of approach to it where I thought that it was supposed to be about serving me, right? Like in relationships, they are, to somehow serve to your needs and to pleasure you and your desires. And selfish, right? I mean, like it's Adam in the garden, right? It's all this hubris and self-focus. And maybe I was a jerk, right? I mean, I'm sure there are women out there who I dated who might watch this and say, yeah, you totally were a jerk. All right, I'm sorry. Forgive me. But maybe it was just, I didn't know that I wasn't supposed to be looking at myself all the time, right? It's better to give than receive type of thing. I mean, maybe I just didn't know it. Or maybe I ignored it. Who knows? But at one moment, I saw this pretty dang, bang, bang, baby, beautiful girl who is now my wife. And I was like, ooh, she's something special. And in that moment, it was kind of like the Shazam, right? The lightning bolt. I realized in that moment that I didn't want anything from her. All I wanted to do was to please her, to give back to her, to lift her up. I don't know what caused it. I mean, love at first sight. I don't know. I'd already known her and we'd been friends, so I don't know. But it was different than the way I'd been looking before. It was a strange thing for me because I realized this is going to be something different, I've got to be different. Because whatever I was doing before with all these other ladies, who I'm sure now are all lovely and nice ladies, maybe not one of them, but all the rest, lovely, I just wasn't doing it right. It was my responsibility. I had to own it. I had to change me in order to build up this relationship. And so, let me tell you, she didn't want any part of it, my wife, because I was a dog, right? And she said, she's like, and I was talking about being a priest. Like, who wants to be the wife of a priest, especially a crazy one? She was smart and said, I don't want any part of it. And I realized the only way that I was going to be successful in courting my beautiful bride and winning her heart is that if I changed my life and started being sacrificial instead of so darn selfish, right? In other words, I had to be crucifixional. Like Paul says in Ephesians chapter 5, right? You know this. Husbands, and I wasn't a husband yet, but it still applied. Husbands, love your wives as Christ loved the church and gave himself for it. I mean, right? Like that's the way we're supposed to love other people. You want a good, healthy relationship, you've got to be willing to go to the cross for that relationship, not having everything come to you. And let me tell you, I started to do it. And next thing you know, this beautiful woman probably lost her marbles and said, okay, I'll marry you. And now 25 years later, she's the happiest woman in the world. I'm just telling you. At least I'm the happiest man in the world, that's for sure. So all of this, it made me think about it as we're going through all of the darkness of Father Chris's life this week. I wanted to share with you that it was hard because I had to shift my mind, right? My mind had been so focused on feeding me and getting my desires filled that I stopped or was never even open to looking at the desires of others. Now I had to flip it around and I had to put to death my desires, right? So that I could focus and spend the time and the effort and energy on hers. Now, that was a very radical shift for me. It was totally different because, like I said, it was not my normal modus operandi. But once I started to do that, it was hard. But once I did, that relationship became, gold. I couldn't stay, she was the water that I had to drink every day to stay alive. Do you understand that? It was so powerful, that relationship. All I wanted, even my studies suffered. When I went to seminary, I was across the country. We would talk on the phone all night long. She was in Cali, I was in Boston, 3-hour time difference. We stayed up till midnight, her time. I'm up at 3 and then back up again at 7 to go to class. Like, I was tired all the time, but I just couldn't stand to be away from her because I had realized that like Christ conquered death and sin in the garden by sacrificing himself, if I was willing to sacrifice my ego to put hers ahead, that relationship was going to be amazing. And honestly, forgive me for bragging, I have the best marriage on the planet. I really do. I'm very blessed. I don't deserve her, but it is what it is. I just say, thank you, Jesus, and I keep grinding. And so, again, I was thinking about it. I can't be the only one that struggles with relationships, or at least did at that moment. And look, it's not just about your lover, your spouse, your husband, your wife. It can be with children. It can be with parents. It can be with coworkers, cousins, relatives, friends, people on the street. All of the relationships that we go through in our life, we find especially in these turbulent times where everybody seems to hate everybody, especially online, and they're all throwing shade. It's hard to do it because we're all kind of still focused on ourselves. But if we start to live crucifixionally and say, look, I'm going to sacrifice the way Jesus did for my relationships, you're going to find they work. And it is what it is. So with all of that being said, I keep pushing this 6-part battle plan. It's this plan that I put together for my life. And I'm so lucky because it works. Not because I'm of any value or because I came up with anything good like these other gurus have the 6-step plan to change your life. There's not my plan. All I did was find the way that God commanded us to do it. The God commanded to live our life. It's the only plan that actually works. And we took it. And we took his commandments and his will, his request for us to be selfless, and we put it into 6 different parts that encompass all aspects of our lives. One of them is the heart, which is about our relationships. And so what I want you to do is consider, really, for some people, they don't want it, and I get it. But if you want to find health in your relationship, so you're not just getting through life, but you're thriving in your life, subscribe to the 6-part battle plan. And watch the videos, they're movies, there's moviettes. The videos that we put out there, the teachings about heart, because they teach us how to relate to other people in a sacrificial, crucifixional sense. And when you do that, look, you're going to find that your relationships start to blossom, they bloom, they become something of value, something real, something great, something, like I said earlier, that you long for, you thirst for that time with another person, right? It doesn't have to be the alternative where we run around miserable all the time, hating everybody because, everybody's a jerk and everybody's getting in my face and doing things to me and all this kind of stuff. In the heart module in our 6-part battle plan, we really teach us, and share with us what God has in store for us when we are willing, as Paul said in Ephesians, to love one another the way Christ loved the church, instead of suffering through the anger and the animosity that go with it. So, it's pretty simple. All you really need to do right this moment is visit our website. And once you get there, you can get the bundle, which is even better. But at least consider the 6-part battle plan. You're going to see mind, heart, lungs, just the whole man, the whole woman. Once you get to the heart module, we're going to give you, to the best of our ability, what he said about how we live with one another. Love you, beautiful people. We're going to be back tomorrow to talk about physical health. Until then, keep walking on the way of the warrior saint.